And if you pull out the maps, you can see like a lot of in the developed cities, all the green dots there are golf courses. So they just kept being encroached, and the golf courses at the end are just the only wildlife oasis that they have left. So that's where they live.
Welcome to the Connected podcast, coming to you from the heart of Taipei, in which we discuss the news and events that connect us all in Taiwan and around the world. And today, I want to talk about golf, ecology, two things that you might necessarily associate with each other at first glance, and the technology that is changing the game. And to talk to us about all of this, we have Delphine Tseng, the author of multiple books, a consultant in the golf industry, who wrote two beautiful hardcover illustrated books, one called The Wilderness Between the Greens and one called Wild Hearts of the Ryder Cup. I am Tomasz Koper, and let's dive into golf. I mean, my first question to you is, you wrote books about golf and ecological preservation at golf courses, but this is not a usual pastime for a Taiwanese person, even a Taiwanese person living in the US. So I'm curious, did you bring your love of golf from Taiwan to the United States, or did you fall in love with all of that over there?
That's a great question. First of all, thank you so much for having me.
No, pleasure is all mine.
Being here. I started out as an ecologist and a conservationist. So my college essay and college thesis is actually on how bad golf is to the environment. So I hated golf. And so I started doing research. And then when I was doing the research, my friends on the team just like, hey, do you want to just come, see what you're talking about? And I was like, yeah, of course. So I went with them. And I did see a lot. So that was in upstate New York. I went to RPI, Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, and I studied sustainability and minor in civil engineering. And then focus shifted to the sustainable development. So of course I want to talk about like golf is a waste of space and energy and water, things like that. So the more I studied, the more I was trying to dig up like credible sources for my thesis. I realized that cannot be farther away from the truth. Like I did a lot of research on carbon sequestration for grass. And I was like, oh, wow, this is kind of like an untapped situation here. And I was also interning for NYSERDA, which is the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority. So there are a lot of overlaps about what good things golf is doing that people didn't know. So I was asking my professor, can I actually change it? So I changed my mind about golf because of the research that I did. And then I started playing golf. And so this was when I was in college, and I started playing golf in college. And I just told Thomas earlier that I'm still a high 20 handicap. So that is not good. I'm an avid golfer, but I'm not a good golfer. So I realized even an avid golfer such as myself didn't know what golf is doing before I started really researching and studying, like what hopes do, the golfers or even non-golfing public have. So I wanted to write books about the unexpected wildlife habitat that we can have on golf courses and to change people's mind.
Most people don't think of biodiversity or conservationism when they think about golf courses. Like you said, it's energy, it's the water, it's the space that is necessary. But your book is trying to show something different, isn't it?
Yes, and I love golf and the whole idea of having conservation and wildlife habitat on golf courses so much that I married a golf course superintendent. So if there's any avid golfers out there, he manages the 5 golf courses at Bethpage State Park. So the most famous one is, of course, the Bethpage Black, which just hosted the Ryder Cup. So it's a huge job. And I respect my husband so much because even during this hustle and bustle, there were, I think, 260,000 people that came over the Ryder Cup. And even during all this time that he cares about what kind of animals are the honeybees taken care of? Because they have beehives. They produce their own honey. And
wow.
yeah, they want to make sure that the camera crew didn't disturb the nesting owls or like other habitat. So I really appreciate that and respect them for it. And a lot of golf courses are doing exactly the same thing. They have like a native area for pollinators. And right now, monarch butterflies are like in the steady decline since 1970s. And golf courses around the country, and when I say country, I mean like United States, are creating habitat for monarch butterflies so they can have a safe path down to Mexico when they're overwinter and again when they come back to the north.
Butterflies, bees, owls. Now, I mean, with owls, you're speaking my language. I didn't expect there to be so many different animals. I mean, we have insects, we have birds. What was the most sort of unexpected type of animal that you discovered is actually thriving, between the greens, as the title of your first book says?
Thank you. Yeah. So the most unexpected one, I think these are the salamanders, because these are amphibians, and we'll definitely circle back to your owls because I love them so much as well. And the amphibians, as we know, they have permeable skin. So that means if the water quality is not good, not healthy, you won't see them. But we have frogs, we have toads, we have salamanders, and that means that the water quality is good enough that they thrive here. I was doing a tournament near Washington, D.C., and I was giving out like little coloring books with salamanders in them. And one of the a woman there, she's like, I'm only here because my husband's a golfer. And I saw salamander in your books. And she showed me her hat, which has a salamander on it. And she said she's a salamander biologist.
Oh, wow.
And she did not believe that there are salamanders living on this course. And that course happened to be one of the golf courses I did my field study on. And I was like, I can guarantee you there are spotted salamanders here. She's so excited. And we talk about water conservation and ecology. So I think not only that's an expected animal to see, it's a good poster child to show people like, hey, if we can live here, that means we're okay.
Well, why is that the case? Why are ponds along golf courses so clean? I mean, is it because few people show up and potentially pollute it?
That's a great question because first of all, the roots of the grass act as a filter. So it grabs all the nutrients and actually some chemicals, some pollutants from the soil or from like being washed away into the pond. And second, a lot of people thought that golf courses must have used a lot of fertilizer, chemicals, pesticides to make it look like that. No, they're actually under like really, really tight scrutiny. I live on Long Island, New York. There are things that you can use in your backyard that we are not allowed to use on the golf courses.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So we use very, very little because of regulations, scrutiny, and also we want to do good. And we have a lot of labor. So people were like, how can we get our front yard to look like your golf course? And I was just like, well, you have to hire maybe like 10 people and have them work on this 24/7. So yeah, so just labor of love, not a lot of chemicals.
Well, it is a little counterintuitive because from what I've heard, since you mentioned lawns are apparently horrible for the environment, for biodiversity.
Yeah, pretty bad.
So is that balanced out with the space in between the greens, the nicely manicured parts of the golf course? Do you leave them completely wild and sort of growing however, nature decides? So
on October 10th in Taiwan, there this huge news, and so many people sent that news to me, that one of the private golf courses in Kaohsiung got converted into a public park, which is beautiful, and I love seeing that. And so they just opened, and right now fairway still looks like fairway, greens still look like greens, and I've heard that they let go like 50% of the staff. And although I do love seeing like public utilizing these green space, but I do wonder what plans they have in mind to keep it looking like that.
Right.
And so a lot of people want this natural look, like no maintenance look. It is great in a radical world, but we do have to face a lot of problems like the invasive species. So if you just leave it like natural, it will be taken over by invasive species. And then when they take over, there goes the biodiversity, there goes native species survival, there goes endemic species. So that's a big problem that I want people to think about. Like a lot of times people see us cutting down trees on our golf courses, and they'll be like, how can you cut down trees? But the trees we're cutting down are maples from like Norway maples.
Mm-hmm.
And they will just suck out everything and they will take over the woods. And no, so we're actually like protecting our native species like the American chestnut. We have a little American chestnut nursery to protect them. The American chestnuts are theoretically already extinct in the wild.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah, so they cannot survive. They have these blight that kill them before they reach maturity. So we have to like really bring them back. We work with the American chestnut project to really bring them back, just to like to protect them from everything else and to let them reach maturity. So things like that I don't think public know, like they see, but they don't know. And a lot of things will kill the native and endemic species if we don't take care of it.
So the wildlife, both fauna and flora, between the holes, between the fairways, between the greens, that's not random chance. Like people do take care of the biodiversity there, engineer that in a way. Is that
yes, yes, but not like feeding them. We don't feed them, but we almost create an habitat that they recognize, so they will move in there. And Long Island, as you know, is really close to Manhattan,
right? And
it's kind of already a suburban area. And if you pull out the maps, you can see like a lot of in the developed cities. All the green dots there are golf courses. So they just kept being encroached, and the golf courses at the end are just the only wildlife oasis that they have left. So that's where they live. And I think like this is almost the same with the situation in Taiwan as well.
So I want to get to Taiwan a little later, but first let me ask you, what is the role of technology in what you do?
I love this question because people wouldn't think of that. So first of all, in management side, the technology of GPS really, really helps us a lot, the mapping. And so we know exactly like what parts needs more specific attention to, and they use a lot of like moisture meters and things like that to make sure that we don't overwater, we don't underwater. So every ounce of water is calculated meticulously. And another thing that I really love, and for our listeners at home, you can download this app as well. This is not placement advertisement.
We're in no way associated with this app, but you might want to consider using it.
And it's so fun. It's called iNaturalist. Mm-hmm. And I check they have all sorts of association in Taiwan as people use this as well. Like you can take a picture of the animals, and of course, like the location of the photo will be recorded. And so if you're not sure, like, oh, it's a bird, but I don't know what kind of bird it is, and you upload the picture, upload the location, and there will be 1,000 experts telling you what that bird is. And people love being experts on the internet, and this for once is where I appreciate it. and I because like I will be doing field research in places like Florida, which I'm less familiar with the fauna flora there, but I will just take a picture and people will be like, yeah, that's a eastern box turtle. I do know eastern box turtle. We have them, but just an example. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so I do love that part of technology. And there's another thing that's also super cool. It's called Merlin. And this is being away from golf management a little bit. Merlin is also an app. It's kind of like Shazam for bird. Like you can just point at the bird that's singing and they will tell you within like 2 seconds what bird that is.
Oh, so that is very cool.
That's amazing. So I did a lot of great horned owl that way because you can't see them, but you can hear them. Yes. So I just want to make sure that's great horned owl. And they're like, yep.
That's kind of the point of owls.
Yes.
You're not supposed to see them.
Right.
So water management is, I'm imagining, a big thing in golf and a major criticism, like the water usage. You said that every milliliter, every drop of water is precisely calculated, and you have systems in place to do that.
Yes.
But their criticism that golf courses use a lot of water, even if it's precisely measured, is kind of still, I mean, what is basically your thinking on the issue? What is your response to this kind of criticism?
I'm not going to deny it. There are definitely places where I feel like the water can be better used. But there are places that they use golf courses as kind of like a reservoir for water, because otherwise there's not a lot of stormwater management in place in cities, and golf courses will act as a water reservoir. But most of I think 90% of the golf courses that I work with, that I know, are very, very careful with their water management. And USGA, so it's the U.S. Golf Association, they have advised and encouraged their member courses to use drought resistant, to use native grass, to use grasses that work better for that environment. And there's a thing, and again, the golfers will know, it's called the Augusta effect. Like, people see the Masters playing on Augusta National, and they will want their golf course to look like that.
Right.
Again, that's like 100 people working on like a quarter acre of land, 24/7. But they want their golf course to look like that. So that's like, these are kind of unrealistic expectations that we try to curb a little bit. But most of the golf courses I know that they have to grow with the climate, they have to grow with the current situation. So they're trying to move away from the always green, always lush look, and trying to look like a more golden look. So that's what we're trying to advertise, a golden look.
I imagine, having a lush green fairway or green on a golf course in Long Island is not as big of an issue as it would be in, I don't know, Arizona or New Mexico.
Right, exactly.
But are local grasses used in more arid places in the United States?
There are just like certain types and breeds of grass, but there's this huge team of like a lot of agriculture universities are developing grass that are perfect for that. So I am a really avid supporter of GMOs because I think so. It's not as scary as people think. A lot of times GMO are trying to work with the current societies, like maybe a bigger yield of crops to support the hungry communities. And in this case, the GMO is like engineers and scientists trying to come up with a better breeds of grass. And it's not just for golfers. Like, in this meantime, like during this research, what they can find is like drought resistance, like or pesticide resistance, or how can we work with that so they can use less pesticides, less water, less resources to grow grass, to grow crops, to grow things that we eat.
I think, GMOs get a bad reputation.
Right. Like golf.
People imagine it's like, Franken crops, but GMOs have saved billions of people from starvation.
Yes, watermelons are GMOs.
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking forward to seeing what the developments in grass are going to be in the next decades. But staying with technology for a little bit, what about the game itself? How is technology changing that? I know there are many different kinds of enhancements, and I learned that literally last night. But apparently wearable technology is a big thing, and personal assistants that can help with the way you swing the club and your technique on the fairway.
My non-golfing friends, when they watch a tournament like broadcast on TV, so you can see the tracker of how the golf ball flies and how... Even you're just like a physics enthusiast, you should watch it because it's really, really fascinating. And so technology can help you like, oh, this is how your ball flies. And so how are you going to hit it from different angles? And if you go to like, there's called like PGA Tour Superstores, and there are always pros there, and they have like computers that you can wear, and you can like, analyze your swing and your angle and how to... And also very, very, very low tech technology that I use is just a towel. Like, I'll hold a towel like between my arms, and then I'll swing that way, not letting go of that. I mean, golfers, you know what I'm talking about. So the whole spectrum of technology used and invented for golf is, there are a lot of technology waiting to be invented because people they will buy a whole set of clubs if you promise them they can shave off that 2 more strokes. So, yeah.
Well, I discovered golf is, in fact, incredibly nerdy. I thought
Super
it was
nerdy.
I thought it was more of a, executives kind of, discussing business deals on the green, but it's all about numbers and people get really, really granular. I saw how smart clubs are used that can measure like every single attribute of your swing, acceleration, speed, peak, and then the force with which the ball is hit. It's not a sport for boring business people. It's a sport for kind of my kind of people, like nerdy people who like crunching numbers and tweaking data.
Yes, definitely, and especially like there's just like every millimeter matters. I have to like keep changing it back for metric, and so they do matter, and they even will ask you like so. People's big thing about tournament is like, what's the green speed? What's the green speed? So that's this rolling speed of the green. I do know what the rolling speed is was at the Ryder Cup, but I cannot tell you. I would just tell you like everything was as requested. So that's what people would like. They will calculate these kind of speed and how the grass is mowed and how, of course, the wind and things like that. They love analyzing those kind of things.
Do you think that all of this is attracting younger people to the sport? Again, the stereotype of golf is that it's for middle-aged people and up. Are young people playing golf? Is technology a part of that? Like, is it drawing people, showing them that it's not this old stuffy sport?
Yeah, I think so, especially after the COVID pandemic. So this, I think, in Taiwan as well in Europe and in the United States, what we see is like a big growth of youth, younger people playing golf. And when I was working at a company, I had 3 interns, both college-age girls, and I would spend my own money and took them to the golf course. I want them to take lessons because I don't want them to be left out. Like you said, like golf still majority is still being played by executives, business, middle-aged men. And if that still is the case, then our younger generation of women would be left out. So I really want them, like, I don't care if you really do not care about the sports, but at least like know how to swing. Like, don't be left out. Be at the table when the things are happening. Be in the room, But after the pandemic, like a lot of places are closing down. There's no more KTV. And so they were just like, okay, let's go to the golf course and see what that's about. And then they start to see like the joy of being outside. You get less concussions.
Right. And I guess people forget that it is a sport played by athletes just because, people wear polo shirts and, little hats and just leisurely walk from one hole to another. Yeah, but it is a sport that requires years of dedication and training. Well, on that note, who plays golf in Taiwan? You work mainly in the United States. You also work with some European golf courses.
I do.
But I'm curious what your experience of Taiwanese golf courses is.
When I came back to work with golf courses in Taiwan about 10 years ago, I realized I do not know any of these terms in Chinese because before I left, and like they started to look a little bit confused. They're like, I thought you were Taiwanese. Why can't you speak Chinese? And I was just like, I don't know how to say birdie. I don't know how to say bunkers. I don't know how to say greens. I don't know how to say fairways in Chinese. I didn't know the Taiwanese golfing culture until I came back. So it was kind of a shock to me because it was like a really exclusive club. And in the States, a round of golf might cost you $10. And this is not an exaggeration. There's some 9-hole local course. There's one par 3 local course that my husband and I love to go to. It's $13 a person for a round. And we love it, right? Like we love it. And it's next to a beach and it's so cool. And of course, there are places like Pebble Beach that cost you $750 a round and you have to stay at the hotel. So of course, it's called public, but not every single individual in the public can afford that. So that's the spectrum of the public course in the States. But in Taiwan, I would say 90% of the golf courses are still private. And so they have this very different culture as the paying customers are always right. And they really take that to heart. Golf is a self-policing sport. Like you record your own score and you measure, like if you place a ball mark on the greens if you are not going to putt yet, and then you put the ball back. Like a lot of times people will be like, like 1 centimeter off is not a big deal. But usually people are very meticulous about things like that. Like they don't want to cheat because they know they have to respect themselves and they want to respect the opponents. When Taiwanese golfers start to play this sport, it's like right now it's a little bit on the superficial side. And I really, really hope they can really appreciate what this sport is about and work with your club and work with the marshals, please. And like in the States, if the marshals come over and say, hey, your pace is a little bit slow, you got to pick up a little bit. They'll be like, oh, sorry, we'll pick right up. And I think like I've heard horror stories, like golfers here will chase the marshals away with their clubs.
Wow.
So, the attitude and culture has to change a little bit. But I think there is so much potential with Taiwanese golf courses.
Well, it just seems like they're really leaning into the stereotype of like a rich, entitled person playing golf.
Right now, so far, yes, but there are potentials because we have young people start playing golf. And I was, working with the Golf Association of Taiwan, and they said like so much that they have to tweak the rules of handbook a little bit. Like right now, like a lot of influencer will be on the golf course and they'll be posing. They're like wanting to like get the good lighting and sound effect. So sometimes we'll play music that will affect other golfers. So that kind of thing, like we have to like turn that down a little bit and like find the beautiful medium. Like how do we attract younger people, but also still respecting the rule of golf and the spirit of golf?
How many golf courses are there in Taiwan? Because honestly, I don't really see them all that much.
Yeah, so 58.
58. How does that compare sort of per capita to, I'm nowhere near the United States, I assume, but like within the region?
Yeah, I think pretty high.
Okay.
Yeah, and the reason why you don't see them because they are in like the hilly mountainous side of places. And I think that's a big problem with people who think like golf courses took the habitat away from the wildlife like we talked about before. But so at first I thought that way too. But now like when I came back and work with them and I realized like a lot of these lands are just there like being wasted, invasive species grown over. And the big problem that I didn't know and I didn't think of before was the stray dogs, the threats of stray dogs.
Okay.
And it's a huge conflict between stray dogs and native and endemic wildlife. I love dogs. I brought 4 stray dogs from Taiwan back to New York, but they should be with us inside our home.
Right.
And there's still a lot of wild dogs around and they chase any wildlife they see. And a big misconception is, because they're hungry. So if we feed them, they're not hungry. That's not. My dog eats like a princess. If she sees a rabbit in the backyard, she is going to chase after her. I work with this group called Ting Ting 动物团, and they were, they documented a lot of like wild dog attacking indigenous, native, endemic wildlife, and the wild dogs always win, and it's a huge problem. So right now I'm encouraging golf courses in Taiwan to kind of like take in the wildlife, and they do have. I've seen pangolins, I've seen civets, and I've seen grass owls on golf courses that are being protected. And so I think that's another untapped potential that we can definitely work on there.
Well, on that note, you told me before that you are planning to write another book, kind of similar to what you did for U.S. golf courses for Taiwan, the wildlife of Taiwanese golf courses. So I'm curious, what will definitely make it into a book like that? Which animals, which plant species are you definitely going to include?
Oh my goodness, that's a great question. Thank you. Definitely pangolin. So I think that's something that's pangolin is the most illegally trafficked mammals in the world. and for horrendous reasons. And you can still see pangolins on golf courses. So pangolins definitely. And unfortunately, I don't think there is any black bear on the golf courses. And I want to see a lot of endemic species on the golf course. And there are different kind of box turtles on them on the golf course. Another thing where wildlife can find protection on golf courses is there's zero roadkill fear on golf courses. And a lot of especially slow-moving animals like turtles, the roadkill rate is pretty high. So they can find a nice peace and quiet haven on golf courses, playing at their own pace. And we'll put in an owl or two in there for you, Thomas.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, not just for me, it's for everyone,
Yes,
because
for everyone.
they are the best birds. Objectively, that's a science fact.
Ooh, a raven is up there. A raven is up there.
Okay, fine. I'll allow raven.
Yes. But what I would not put is like peacocks. And because people are like telling me like, oh, we have peacocks, so we love animals. And I was like, well, first of all, peafowls. I don't know, did you know this? Peacocks are they are only male.
Right.
Right. Male birds are peacocks and the female are peahens. And so peacocks are not from Taiwan. They're introduced species. So we don't call them invasive yet, but they're definitely introduced. So having peacocks or having swans on your golf courses doesn't mean like you are ecological and conservation minded, because I mean, it's pretty, you keep it as a pet and stops there. I really want people to know, like, just because you see one animal doesn't mean it's a conservation minded place. But what animals we should protect is the native ones, the endemic one, because Taiwan is an island. So we're fortunate enough to have a lot of endemic species. A lot of birders from all over the world come to Taiwan to watch our birds. And
right.
I think like it will be super cool if we can talk about these. And in the book, I don't think I will exclusively talk about golf courses. I want to talk about unexpected wildlife habitat. So where the wildlife are. So golf courses, parks, campus, even like trenches and, aqueducts and even cemeteries. These are places that you can see wildlife still thriving and just like little parchments of greens, like scattered in Taiwan, because Taiwan is so developed. So like these are the last oasis and last haven they can find.
That sounds fantastic. I'm really looking forward. Before I let you go, one final question is, where would you like Taiwanese golf industry, golf courses, and associated conservation measures to go from here? What are your hopes for the future development of those?
I think right now the conversation has already started. So I love seeing that, because this saying, like, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And industries around the world are realizing that. And when I first brought up this book idea, this conversation project with a lot of my conservation group people, like the Wild Bird Association, the publisher that published these kind of animal science and conservation stories, I was a little bit afraid that they're going to be like, you're not even from here anymore. What do you know? You don't know the current climate. You don't know the current situation. But they're all very happy to work together, because they know like only working together we can go far. So I just want to have a conversation. And I think the conversation's already started. Wednesday, I'm going to see different golf courses in Taiwan, and I want to bring this to them. And I think they greet me with their open ears and open arms. And I hope that we can bring this, beautiful future together.
Well, thank you for this great conversation. Delphine Tseng, conservationist, author, consultant in the golf industry.
Thank you so much, Thomas. How do you say thank you in Polish?
Dziękuję.
Dziękuję.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Dziękuję, Thomas.
Dziękuję bardzo. And where would you go to play a round of golf in your country? And how good are your golf courses? Let us know in the comments below. While you're down there, also do check out our main show Connected on Taiwan Plus on our YouTube channel and the Taiwan Plus website. I'm Tomasz Koper, and we'll see you next time.